When we have issues and problems with other people, it can create such a place where it is difficult now for us to be around those said people. And understand, boundaries are not a bad thing. In fact, they're a biblical thing. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about on today's episode. Boundaries are biblical and not bitterness. The word no. For some people, that one word feels almost sinful to you. No, I can't do that. No, I'm not available. No, I'm not allowing myself to be around that anymore. No, you can't keep treating me this way. And for some reason, people have made boundaries sound almost like they're unchristian. Like, if you really loved people, you'd always say yes. If you really were spiritual, then you'd always make a sacrifice. If you really were forgiving, then you're always never going to limit the access of yourself to others. But can I tell you something? Boundaries are not bitterness. Boundaries are not hatred. Boundaries are not even a revenge tactic. Sometimes boundaries are wisdom. Sometimes boundaries are protection. And sometimes boundaries are a biblical thing. So let's talk about it. Jesus himself had boundaries. People often picture Jesus as endlessly available to every single person at every moment. Because when you read the Bible, you'll notice that he healed many people. He performed miracles. He taught teachings and all sorts of different things for lots of folks. But when you read the Bible and you really analyze the life of Jesus Christ, you realize this quickly. He had boundaries. Jesus did not heal every person in every town that he went to. Jesus did not answer every accusation that was brought against him. Jesus did not stay everywhere that he was wanted. Jesus often withdrew himself. Mark chapter number 1, verses 35 through 38 says, "And in the morning, rising up a great while before the day, he went out and departed into a solitary place, and there he prayed. And when they had found him, they said unto him, All men seek for thee. And he said unto them, Let us go into the next towns." So, in other words, the crowds wanted Jesus. There was needs everywhere. There was demands that were constant. And Jesus still left. Why? Why did he do that? Did he not love them? Did he not care for them? Well, it's because of this. It's because of boundaries. Jesus understood this incredibly important truth, and that is, there's always going to be needs. People are always going to need you. People are always going to want your attention. People are always going to need something from you, and you can't fix and help and figure out everybody's problems. You can help some people, but you're never going to be able to help all people. We're just human beings. We don't have that capability within us. So if you say yes to everything, you may be able to affect some people's lives, but you're going to be so exhausted by the end of things that the people that you're trying to quote-unquote help on the back end, they're not going to be as effectively helped because you are not effectively ministering. You're exhausted. You're tired. You're weak. You're no longer as strong as what you used to be. And you may say no to what God actually even called you to do whenever you do get in that state of exhaustion because you're so busy trying to get done what you think you need to do. Jesus also didn't answer every critic that came his way. Matthew 27, verses 12 through 14 shows us that Jesus was silent before his accusers. Not every attack deserves a response. Actually, can I say it this way? Most attacks don't deserve a response. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every text message deserves a reply. Silence can be a boundary for you. Distance can be a boundary. No can be a boundary. And none of that is sinful, regardless of what you may think in your mind. Boundaries are there to protect your heart. The Bible says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Again, it says, keep thy heart. That means you need to guard it. You need to protect it. You need to watch over it. Because your heart affects everything. It affects your peace. It affects your joy. It affects your relationships. It affects your spiritual life. And some people have no boundaries. And they wonder why they're exhausted. And they wonder why they're resentful. Why they're constantly drained. Because they're always trying to please those around them. Having access to everyone. Not everybody deserves unrestricted access to your life. Some people are assignments. Some people are distractions. Some people are blessings. Other people are lessons. And that's a famous quote from my pastor. Discernment matters, is what I'm saying. You can love people without carrying everybody on your back. Even Jesus didn't carry what wasn't his assignment. Boundaries are not bitterness. A lot of people confuse boundaries with bitterness. They are definitely not the same. Bitterness says, I want to hurt you. Boundary says, you can't keep hurting me. Bitterness seeks after revenge. Boundaries are seeking peace. Bitterness is emotional. Boundaries are intentional. You can set a boundary in love. You can say no kindly. You can create distance respectfully. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. That includes your relationships. There are seasons when people are close, and there are seasons when people drift. There are seasons when distance is necessary, and that's okay. Not every relationship is meant to stay the same forever. And changing boundaries doesn't mean changing your love for people. It means changing the wisdom that you have. So let's talk about some practical boundaries. What do boundaries look like? They may sound like this. I love you, but I can't keep having this conversation. I forgive you, but I need some space. I'm unavailable. The behavior is not acceptable. I can't help at this time. That's not healthy for me. That's not rude today. That's healthy. Jesus often told people, not now. Even in John chapter 11, when Lazarus was sick, you remember Jesus delayed. He didn't go right then and there. He wasn't controlled by urgency. And neither should we. Everything screaming for your attention does not deserve your attention. Everything that is called an emergency is not necessarily an emergency. Boundaries help you protect your peace and prioritize your purpose. If saying no makes you feel guilty, you may have been manipulated. If creating distance makes people angry, they may have benefited from your lack of boundaries. Not everyone will celebrate your healing. Not everyone will like your standards. Not everybody will respect your peace. But set the boundaries anyway. The Bible says in Galatians chapter number 1, verse 10, for if I yet pleased men, I should not be the servant of Christ. Stop living for approval. Stop apologizing for peace. Stop calling boundaries bitterness. Boundaries are biblical, and sometimes no is the holiest word that you could ever say.